Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Think Great Experience. I'm excited you're here today because our guest is an absolute amazing entrepreneur working on some fabulous things in the health and wellness arena. And I want to introduce to you Cindy Vavra. Cindy, thanks so much for being on our show.
Erik, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, you know, the very first time we talked, you have so much energy for what you do. And we were connected in two realms, right? Health and fitness, because I've written a health book a long time ago, a fitness book on losing weight, but also you have a passion for the military too, which I really appreciate. And as I was looking through your bio, you have done so many things, and I'm going to try and paraphrase it a little bit, but you've been involved in a few different industries, the legal industry. Yes. You've been involved in farming through a family farm. Mm-hmm. You've also held some titles in the health and wellness side, a personal trainer, Corrective Exercise Specialist, a performance enhancement specialist, and you're the co-founder of ZeSa.
That's right.
So you have a lot of titles, a lot of things you've accomplished. Can you tell us a little bit about your background in the legal side of things and also the farming side?
Yeah, well, I'll go back to the farming first because I was born and raised on a southern Minnesota dairy farm. So true Midwest farmer's daughter, loved my upbringing. Most of the time. It's tough. It's a lot of work. Yeah, you know, farming is 24/7 sometimes, especially when you have animals and there's milking of cattle involved. So my upbringing taught me how to work hard, but also how to play hard. But get your work done, then play hard. So growing up on a farm, though, I decided that I never wanted to be on a farm again. So then I went off to college to work in the legal industry. So as a legal assistant, paralegal in the legal industry. And I found a job at a local law firm in southern Minnesota and started working there over the course of a few years. Then I also ended up marrying a gentleman who was in the farming industry. So back to the farming, he was starting to build a corporate farming business, just raising crops. So I helped him to grow that business over the course of the years while still working in the legal industry. And the legal industry helped me with many aspects of the farming industry as well. So
wow. Quite the background.
Yeah, it really varied. And I like that about life. I love variety. I love doing different things. I don't like being in just one channel and working on one thing. But that, it taught me a lot of things in many realms.
Well, and I know just from I've never worked on a farm, but I know that the work ethic involved in farming is through the roof. I mean, you really have to be all in.
Yes. And I said we could go on vacation as long as it was between 10 a.m. in the morning and 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
There you go. You got to have your parameters.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, got to be there for the animals.
So now I know that you're super passionate about the health and wellness industry. How you got the legal side, you got the farming side. When did you start to realize that the physical fitness side of things, the health and wellness, was so passionate to you?
Yeah, I think that goes back to my upbringing as well. Working on the farm, you're doing functional workouts every day, all day long, you know, throwing hay bales, seed bags, working with the animals. It's, you know, I was never able to go out for sports because things were so busy on the farm. And I always, at that time, I didn't realize, but I felt like I was kind of being left out of like sports and doing things like that. However, what I realized is that I was working out and doing, you know, activities all day long, every day, very functional activities. So that's always stayed with me. And it's like my body was used to that, and it always kind of craves some type of functional daily movement, whether it be, you know, recreational activities or working out.
Yeah. And the daily functional movement is really critical to what you do now.
Right. It is because of the products that we've created and the company that we've created. We're all about functional fitness and functional training, you know, keeping our bodies active and for longevity, basically.
So even though you felt you missed out on some of the sports side of things, here you are co-founding a company that has training devices that focus on instability balance. Right. So you didn't just start up a gym. you didn't just start working out. I mean, you created a company that is revolutionizing fitness, in my opinion, from what I've seen of it.
Mhm.
When did you first come up with the idea? Or I know you co-founded it. How did ZeSa first come into existence?
Yeah, so my co-founder was an athlete, a college athlete, personal trainer. He was an All-American track and field and football, graduate of St. Thomas. And I was in the process of moving into fitness. I wanted to do something in fitness. I wasn't really sure what, but it's always been my passion. So that was my big career change. And I started moving in that direction. And I met him in my condo gym, and he had very rough prototypes of these devices that he was using in his training. And I started talking with him, and then I started training with him and using his devices. And I absolutely loved what they did for my body, for my fitness. And he told me, he said, I want to turn this into a company. So I invested some money so we could get rolling and get moving with the company.
And how long ago was that?
That goes all the way back to 2013.
Oh, wow. Okay. So 2013, you have the idea, you see some of the equipment or the devices that he started to put together.
Right.
And at that point, you guys decided to go into business together.
Right, right, and the devices he had were just very rough prototypes,
Okay.
so, from that point on, we started doing a lot of research and development to perfect the products, all the branding. We've, got 2 fully issued United States patents that cover the products, and that's quite a procedure too, getting the patents in place. But really, it was the research and development to make the products perform in the way that we needed to, and so they could be used safely by a wide range of individuals.
So this has to be kind of a different pathway. When you think about getting into health and fitness, if somebody said you're going to get into health and fitness, I wouldn't necessarily think I'm going to help to get some patents and create equipment and revolutionize things. But pretty early on, that was the pathway you went down. There had to be some challenges that came with that.
Oh, yeah, it was, it was. With the farming business that I did, that was somewhat of a startup company, but a totally different company. It wasn't a product-based company, as far as creating a product. So I've learned a lot along the way. My legal background really helped me out,
Oh, I'm sure.
but yeah, creating a product, doing a startup company, I've learned a lot, and that goes back to that's basically like a 24/7 our job too. There's always something to do.
So can you tell us a little bit, just so people understand what products, the devices,
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about them, without them being able to see them
Yeah,
visually here. Who are they designed for, and what are their main purposes?
right. So our products are, we call them activators. They're basically an air-filled bladder with rotational top platform, about a foot in diameter, and we use them either singly or in pairs. And then we've developed 5 different progressive levels. So they're usable for everyone from someone rehabbing from an injury or surgery up to pro and extreme athletes, or for just young athletes, or for everyday fitness, and for aging adults for just working on single leg balance. Balance has really been coming to the forefront as being important. Doctors are now actually doing a single leg balance test. They say if you could hold a single leg balance test for 10 seconds, your chances of living longer are greatly increased.
That's that's incredible. I can already tell you right now, our listeners are standing on one foot testing it out. Um, but the balance side, I mean, that really transcends so many areas of our lives, even, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people, because one of the big buzz phrases right now is that work-life balance, right? So people are already in that mindset of balance,
Right.
and your products are teaching them how to literally balance their physical body and get healthier in the process.
Right, and what our products also do too, the combination of the instability plus rotation. So those are our 2 patented features, are the combination of instability plus rotation and the progressive levels. What they really do is bring inner focus as well, which is hard to describe. But when people stand on our products for the first time, their eyes get big, the light bulb kind of goes on. Whoa, okay. I have to control this, and your focus really comes inward. It's tough to think about anything else when you're working on our devices and using our devices because of that inner focus that it brings.
Well, and the other thing too is they're not having the severe impact of, let's just say, running. And I'm not saying not to run. I'm saying that some of the physical impacts of lifting heavy weights or even running and putting that pressure on your body, and the results that people are getting with your products are pretty significant.
Right, right. Again, the instability and rotation combination really works all of the muscles and ligaments around your joints. So it actually strengthens your joints. And yeah, it's a low to no impact workout too. So it's not hard on your body. The other effect that it has is when you're standing on our devices, your core has a constant engagement. So, and you can feel that when you're standing there, your
Yeah.
core is engaged even without laying on the ground and doing sit-ups. You're working your entire core musculature.
So I know that professional athletes are also using your devices as well, right?
Right, they are. We're currently in 25 professional sports teams in the NFL, NBA, WNBA, and Major League Baseball. And we started presenting to the pro sports teams because we knew if pro athletes were using our products, others would take notice. And every team we presented to purchased. And I'm proud to say all of our local Minnesota teams are using our products as well, including the Vikings. Go Vikings.
Okay. So that I'm guessing that the Vikings are winning right now. What are they, 8-1 because using
I'm sure
ZeSa devices? I mean, right?
But really balance is important. Some people
Yeah.
think balance training can be boring, but think about an athlete on the field, standing on one leg, throwing a ball, catching a ball. Think about a soccer player kicking a ball while standing on one leg. And really, so it's not just sports. So all of us, when you walk, you're always in single leg balance. One foot is picked up, one is put down. When you run, you're always using single leg balance.
Yeah.
Single leg balance is so important.
How did you come up with the name ZeSa? And what does that mean?
ZeSa means balance in the language of Sanskrit, which is an ancient Hindu language. So we wanted something that describes what our products do, and we're all about balance.
I like it. Now, I know that we have a lot of people listening right now that are very entrepreneurial and have ideas of greatness in their own businesses, or maybe they have some ideas. ZeSa started out as an idea, and here you are in 25 professional sports teams, more coming, and you're expanding your reach nationally and globally. What would be your advice for somebody that has an idea that may not necessarily exist out there yet? Like, your devices didn't exist in their current form, but
Right.
you have somebody that's got an idea that wants to take something to market. How did you start this process?
It basically it does start as an idea, as a dream, but then I did become involved in a couple of groups for founders, which was a huge help because there's so many things that you don't think about
Yeah.
if you've never founded a company before. It also
So
helps.
that peer-to-peer collaboration was huge.
The other thing that it really helps is that doing a startup company is extremely difficult, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy. You have to prepare to hear a lot of no's from people. And if it's your dream, if you really want to do it, you just have to pursue it.
Yeah, because I'm sure you heard your no's, and you may have even met with some resistance from people you knew, right? Where people are like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, in relationships too, I've got a lot of good friends, but it's kind of tough for people who aren't in a startup business to understand, well, you can't go to happy hour and just meet us for a couple of hours because you're working
There's a
on.
lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If it's a weekend, you do. Sometimes you just have to continue to put the hours in.
So I know that, when we spoke, your passion comes out. You ooze with passion about helping people, but you also have a saying that you like. It's if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Mhm.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Because I'm a big fan of quotes, and since I've written books, I have some quotes in there that I like, not just because I wrote them, but when I think about them, they impact me. But what does that one mean to you?
Well, to me, that's how I've really grown in my life. It's just I've had a lot of challenges in my past life, and persevering and coming through those challenges has really helped me to grow and gain self-confidence and do a lot with my life. But also that same statement, we had a group fitness studio downtown Minneapolis. We have closed that now to focus on our equipment launch, but we had a group fitness studio and I had that posted on the wall too, because our devices really create a challenge physically for your body.
Mm.
And when you do that challenge and you accomplish that challenge, I saw so many people just being so proud of what they could do by accomplishing that single leg balance or moving up to the next level, the next progressive level.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's classes available people can take.
Yeah, well, we did recently close the studio so we could focus on our high volume equipment launch. We will
But there's
be,
nothing virtual right now at this point, like they can't do virtual yet?
not yet, but once
Okay.
we launch with our products, then we will have a workout app. We'll be doing some live streaming and very potentially franchising some ZeSa studios too, both locally and then throughout the United States.
Oh, that's fantastic. So right now, as the CEO, as co-founder, what is the part of your role you enjoy the most?
I think the part that I enjoy the most is seeing what our products do for people. I've had so many different clients, and that was one of the blessings of when we had our studio open, was to have so many clients come in and use our
Mm.
products and see what it did for them. I had one woman, after about 3 classes, she came up to me and she said, I have to tell you, she goes, I suffer from ADHD. She was about in her mid-30s, and she goes, I've always struggled with working out before because I can't stay focused. She said,
Mm.
when I'm using your products, I'm here, I'm focused. I can't think about anything else. And it's helped me to sleep better, helped me to focus better at work. So, that the light bulb came on for me. It's like, okay, here's another use for our products. But that's just one example. I mean, I had an elderly gentleman who was, and I shouldn't even say elderly because I don't think upper 60s are elderly anymore. I think that's more
Well, now, yeah, now that I'm in my 50s, no, I agree. So
so,
you had a young man.
young man. But he had recently retired. He'd lost a lot of weight and he was trying to get strong. He, lost his weight, but he said, I'm not toned, I'm not strong. I want to be active for my grandkids. He said, but I've had a knee replacement, I've had a hip replacement, I've got
Mm.
arthritis in both wrists. He goes, I don't know what I can do. And I said, I'll work with you. So I personal trained him for a while, for about 6 weeks. And then he
Yeah.
started joining our group classes. And he did end up moving away. But by the end, he had progressed up to a level 3, which is a very challenging level. And he was doing that level next to young 20 somethings who were doing level 1 when they were starting out. So he was really proud of that. But, just story after story. I had a pro motorcycle racer in his 20s, probably mid to upper 20s, suffering from a lot of past injuries. And he started coming to classes and he said, after a month of working on the devices, he said, I'm feeling things in my body improve that I wasn't able to improve doing anything else. So it's just that wide variety of stories of what our products are doing to help people.
So does it happen by chance that people use it as physical therapy? Or are you finding that some physical therapists are probably going to start utilizing this for recovery?
Right, so our products are made for both because of the progressive levels.
Okay.
The very starting levels are used for recovery. So we do have physical therapists who have purchased our products, and also the sports teams are using our products for recovery as well as for athletic performance enhancements.
Well, when you think about just our country as a whole and how many people are recovering from something,
Hmm.
sometimes that recovery side, it's very hard to get to a gym. It's very hard to leave your house. And so what I love about what you're doing is it not only is extremely beneficial, but it's convenient too.
Right, right. And COVID, it kind of changed the way people worked out. There's still a lot of
That's
people
right.
who want to go out to the gym and they want the social part of it, which is great. But so many people, and especially if they're working from home, they want to get their workout in at home.
Yeah. Well, and I know that, you have a focus on, obviously you want to help everybody, which I gathered that the first time we spoke. You have a passion for people. Um, but when asked about, one of your most significant moments of greatness, it involved becoming a member of the North Carolina Center for optimizing military performance.
Yeah.
Which of course that one caught my eye. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, earlier this year, I was connected with this center through someone who had heard about our company, and she was actually a member of that center as well. She's in the business too, and she heard about us. She goes, "Hey, I got to introduce you to this center." And then I did a Zoom meeting one day with the two heads of the center, and they said, "We'd love to have you as a member," because they said in the military, so many soldiers get injured just in basic training,
Yeah.
and sent home because they're injured. They can't even finish basic training. They said our other challenge is we've got our special ops forces, and it's almost impossible to challenge them. And with our different progressive levels, especially our higher levels, there's not too many people who can accomplish using our higher levels. But special ops forces, as you know, they're just a whole
It's a whole different breed.
level. Yeah, whole different breed.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're in active discussions with them to use our products in the military, which makes me, I'm so proud of our military and what they continue to do for
Yeah.
our country. So that just makes me incredibly proud.
So what would that look like then? I mean, in a dream scenario for you, is that something where would that start off in one branch, and they test it out in some areas? Would that be something through the Department of Defense where it goes into all branches? How would that roll out? Because there's 2.3 million men and women serving right now, so that would certainly constitute a big order.
Mhm.
But also too, then that would lead into the veteran community too, which there's
Yeah.
even more veterans out there. But for the military, how would something like that
Yeah, I believe
initially roll out for you?
usually we'll be doing a pilot program with them or doing some research studies with them. There's funding available for research.
Okay.
We know what we can feel what our products do. We know what our
Yeah.
products have tons of testimonials as to what they do. But we've also always wanted to do some muscle activation testing to have that scientific data to back it up. And the military does have some funding that would be available for us to do that with the military. And then to see the applications that they could do. The other thing they love about our devices is that they're very user friendly. So it's not a big learning curve. They don't have to have a lot of trainers coming in to work with their soldiers. And to your point then too, yeah, the VA using for the veterans clinics and hospitals.
Yeah.
The other thing that with balance, if you lose your vision or partially lose your vision, partially lose your hearing, as a lot of older adults do, that really affects your balance. But the way to improve your balance is to challenge it again. So, and that's what our devices do.
I mean, it seems like the ripple effect of getting in control of your balance is pretty significant of all the benefits that are out there. I mean, there's so many things that your life will improve by getting control of your balance.
Yes, exactly.
I did watch some of your videos. Some of I saw a few of them that I'm going to have to work up to that level. It's like,
Right,
wow.
yeah, some of our videos, especially looking at our website, we show the more challenging moves, but there's so many just really basic moves that you can do. I even though our studio is not closed, I continue to work with some clients, especially some elderly people who I love to work with.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see how their balance has improved.
Yeah, I was going to say I can imagine in the senior community that maybe some of those basic levels to get them started obviously would be so beneficial for them because some of them have deficiencies with their balance as it is, and so to help strengthen that would be huge. I mean, I can really see that your devices could apply anywhere.
Yeah,
It almost makes me think too. My daughter did competitive gymnastics for a long time, and obviously up on that beam it's all balance. Of course, it's called the balance beam. I was just even thinking that competing, you would think that they would have a use for your devices out there, training.
yes, I've had some gymnasts, playing with the devices and training with the devices. And yeah, I do have some college gymnasts who have purchased and are using the devices because, yeah, they already have great balance. but in order to continue to improve, they do have to challenge their balance.
I think that what you're doing is phenomenal. I love that the opportunity is there for the military and for the veterans too. I think that they need it, and for them to gain control, especially, and I look at obviously the people in the military in pretty good shape, but even though you have people in basic training all the way up to the advanced special forces, I think that's a hard shift when people get out of the military. They went from such a regimented lifestyle to all of a sudden now here you're out on your own without Big Brother looking over you, if you will.
Right.
But learning some of those basics on staying physically fit through balance, I think would apply to not just the veteran, but their families as well. And it seems like when I watch the videos, and I need to try the equipment out. I'm excited to do it. Of course, at the bottom level, I'm going to work my way up, and then we'll have another episode where I've gone up a couple levels. It almost, when you're watching people perform these techniques, it almost seems like a great stress reliever too.
Yes, it is. I've had that too. I've had some high level like CEOs, people come to our classes and say, again, it brings that inner focus. It makes them forget about everything else outside of the room that they're,
Well,
yeah.
in the last 2.5 years, I've said, since the pandemic started, people have experienced so much stress. And, when typically with stress, the increased cortisol levels increases their appetite, increases the amount of food they eat, then they gain weight, then they, obviously get more stressed out as their weight goes up.
Right.
But to also know that your devices help eliminate stress. There's so much stress, anxiety, uncertainty in the world right now. To be able to do something to relieve that, even at the home front, I think it is a huge benefit.
Yes.
And let me ask you this. I know that the classes are temporarily on hold, and I'm excited for them to come back, even if they come back virtually. When somebody does something like this, what is the typical length of their routine? How long do they typically use your devices on a daily basis?
Yeah, anywhere from half an hour up to an hour.
Okay.
Depending on their goals and what they're trying to achieve. And the great thing about our products too is that you can incorporate just about every other fitness device with the products, weights, dumbbells, kettlebells, resistance bands, suspension trainers, things like that.
Yeah. Now your products, I know that you're doing a big push for mass orders. And then that's where the focal point is. But can people still can individuals buy product right now?
Not right now, but once we have our high volume products, yeah. So we're just kind of regrouping, getting our high volume products because we will be selling on our website. So they'll be able to, individuals can purchase directly off of our website for in-home use. And that will come along with an app that will very user-friendly app. So they'll know that the moves that they can do with them.
And do you have an estimated time of when people can buy, the consumers could buy?
Probably about 6 months.
6 months. So that means we have to get back on the air in 6 months.
Yeah.
Do a little pre-launch because everybody's going to be anxiously waiting for these.
Right. And we should have them now, especially with Minnesota winter setting in. We've got snow on the ground, we've got ice. The other thing I say that our products do, and this relates all the way from the military up to the aging adults, they mimic the same effect as walking or running on rough terrain or slippery surfaces, all in a controlled environment. That's why the military is very interested too. Think about those soldiers that are running, walking in these rough terrains, heavier backpacks or their packs and their gear on them. But then also that aging adult stepping outside, or any of us stepping outside in a Minnesota winter.
I was going to say, anybody in an icy environment needs your devices.
Yeah.
I moved out here from California, and walking on ice for the first time professionally by living here was a whole different experience.
Exactly. Right. Very precarious. Yeah.
You realize how fast you can land on the ground.
Exactly.
Which is, realistically, it's very dangerous, and people actually are severely injured every year here in Minnesota and other cold weather environments. But I don't think, I know for me, I go to the gym and I do enjoy lifting weights. I enjoy the cardio. I know that once I watch the videos on ZeSa, I know I neglect my balance component. I neglect that area. And as soon as you watch the videos, as soon as you hear testimonials, you realize it's almost a no-brainer to do it, but we forget to do it. And you don't see a lot of that type of equipment at gyms. And hopefully in the next 6 months, we will start seeing that at gyms too, right?
That's our goal, is to get our equipment out there and to really help to educate the public too. Another statistic I ran across recently was for those over the age of 65, falls are the leading cause of injuries and injury deaths. It's the #1 cause. So if you're over 65 and you fall, chances are you could end up in the hospital. Other things start going wrong, pneumonia, things like that.
Well, and the fact of having them get more control over their balance, but also get stronger in the process is huge.
Right.
Um, because I know for a lot of families, they may have their elderly parents living with them. And so this is something that they could actually not only do with them, but make sure that they're doing it to increase that strength. And my mom, before she passed, lived with us. There was no way she was going to a gym. She passed on that idea. And then, in the winter out here, it was just too cold for her to go walking. And so having little exercises around the house was so important for her health that I love that it's not just for the elite athletes. It's not just for special forces. This is what you're doing is for everybody.
Yeah, I've actually had some clients too, who had been coming to the studio and asked to purchase our devices for stand-up desk use.
Oh,
And they did. So you can stand up, you're, standing on our devices while you're at your stand-up desk. So you've got the core engagement going, you're challenging your balance, especially if you move to that single leg.
I like that. Yeah, because now everybody's going to be monitoring that single leg
Yeah.
technique to see so we can live longer. So I like that. You're not only getting us healthy, you're helping us to live longer.
Yes, that's the goal.
Um,
And
oh, go
actively,
ahead.
actively,
Yes.
and being active. Yes.
Well, that's the big thing. I found that, when you really look at least the American population right now, it almost seems like there's a percentage of people that are very, very extremely active,
Right.
and then most people who are very inactive, and
Mhm.
that the level of inactivity has increased over the
Yes.
years.
Yes,
They're just
especially the
less and less
last
active.
couple of years, because for quite a while, people couldn't go out and work out, even, go out for walks and things. That was being discouraged. So I think that really changed people's workout habits.
Well, and I would say that as you're taking your business to new levels, because I don't want to say you're launching your business, it's already launched, you've already had success, and now
Right.
you're going to a whole new level.
Yes.
Um, how important is it to stay optimistic during these times? 6 months is a long time to wait, I think.
It
I'm
is.
impatient.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Stay optimistic. Watch our videos. Strive to be like those, high level people that are
Yeah.
equipment.
So,
Yeah.
so, like we have a lot of initiatives we're working on. I think great. We just did our first audiobook, which was awesome. So it was in our plan, what we call a flight plan, but it was in there for a while. And you get enough requests, and you're like, all right, it's time to move that goal to the forefront. So we did it. But the waiting for things to come out, that's a challenge to me. How do you stay focused during this? Here you got a 6-month waiting period. Now I know that you've got things you're working on,
Yeah.
but it's got to almost drive you nuts a little bit sometimes when so many people, and after they hear this broadcast, this podcast, they're going to want some. How do you keep yourself focused on the main thing when you're so excited about what's happening 6 months out, but you have so much time to go?
I focus on that end goal. I do. Otherwise, it is tough because I do struggle sometimes with having the patient. I want our devices out there now, especially when people ask me about them. And I do get a lot of requests, especially posting on social media,
Yeah.
and global requests for our products. So it can be a little bit frustrating to try to have the patience, but when that happens, I just get the picture of the end goal in my mind, having our products in the military, having them available for aging adults, for athletes, for, in-home use. So I've just got to focus on that end goal when I start losing my patience or get frustrated. And
Yeah.
I'm doing things every day to try to move the company forward, or as we move our company forward to work towards that goal, which helps.
Well, and I'm a big believer in that too. I think that having those long-term goals in place, they
Right.
provide so much direction and meaning for us that it helps you stay focused during these short-term time periods where so many things have to be put together in order to make all that happen.
Yeah.
Um, so how important is faith to you?
Faith is extremely important to me. Yeah, I have a strong
And I
faith.
think that's another area that we're very similar, our journey of faith. But can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that? Because here you are, you've gone from the legal side to the farming side to the health and wellness side to, you know, in the entrepreneurial world and getting patents and through all of this, you encounter many, many different types of people, many different personalities. You encounter positive people, negative people. What is that role of faith like in your life? You know,
Yeah.
how do you rely on faith through all this?
I really, really appreciate you bringing this up, Eric, because it is, I haven't mentioned that, but it is my strong faith that's kept me going too. I've said many times, God has put this dream in my heart.
Mhm.
He's the one that helps me. Every time I hit like a roadblock or it's like, oh, I don't know if I can, I'm exhausted. Can I do this another day? He steps in, he says, yes, you can do this.
Yeah.
In your heart, and you can do it, and you're going to do it. I've also had, which I won't share here today, but a lot of personal tribulations too, with some past relationships that were very challenging. And I always said that without his help, I don't know if I would have been able to move forward and get out of those.
I think it's critical for me, that having God at the center of our business.
Yeah,
There's, we have some of the same goals, expanding nationally and globally. And there's parts of what we do at Think Great that we want to do more of with the military.
right.
But to think that, to tackle all that by yourself, or even just with your team can be overwhelming. And it's always been helpful for me to have the faith in God to go back to. I get anxious, but I always go back to Philippians 4:4 through 4:7, and I'm horrible at quoting scripture, but I'll give you this one is, don't be anxious about anything, right? So don't be anxious, but give everything to the Lord through prayer. And then it's great because it says, and achieve that peace that comes through Jesus. And that's the part I like. I really like when I encounter that peace.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. And that's the other thing I do, Eric, is one of my favorites too. When I go to bed at night and the wheels start turning, or I wake up in the middle of the night, it's scripture verses like that I bring to the forefront, that I bring to mind, that I keep repeating. And that's, just totally changes my whole thought process. Yeah, and I've said many times too that I've got some great team members that really help me a lot, but my best team member is God. Having him on our team,
yeah.
we're going
Yeah,
to
I think that when you're working and tackling something so big and some great opportunities come your way, like the military, that's a big one. I mean, that's huge, and not just from a business standpoint, but from an impact standpoint.
yeah,
To be able to impact military lives and their families is huge. I think sometimes it can be a little overwhelming and daunting, and we have Fortune 500 companies that we're working with at Think Great, where we're taking our content into those companies, and some of them have 70,000 people working there. So it could be overwhelming, and you have to have God in your corner. I mean, like, as an entrepreneur, if you're not waking up in the middle of the night from time to time,
yeah,
you're probably not dreaming big enough, right? So
that's
sometimes we wake up and we have a great idea. You got to write that down. That's a great idea. Sometimes the enemy can get a hold of your mind and say, hey, maybe you can't do this.
yeah.
And maybe that comes through other people too, where they might doubt it, or you just have that feeling, and to be able to give that off to God is huge, especially when we want to accomplish things that impact so many lives around the globe.
Yeah. And I have been questioned about that too. How do you sleep at night? How are you able to do this? And it's my faith in God. It's having him in my corner and helping me. Without that, I doubt that, I know we wouldn't be where we are today. And it's also the connections too, such as the military. We knew that we always wanted to approach the military and get into the military. We assumed that would be several years down the road after we do our high volume launch, but just to have that connection handed to me, God was definitely in play on that one. Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting because, you talk about having those goals, right? You have this bigger picture for ZeSa,
Right.
and these big goals. And what I found, I know this works for me, is the more I share it, if I share my goals with
Yeah.
people,
Mhm.
then they start thinking of ways to make some connections for me. And
Right.
that's how, we launched our foundation, and we award scholarships to military spouses. And this year we've awarded out over 50,000, and we've gotten into bases and commands, and we've awarded scholarships in 20 different states at this point. And we're pretty new, only about 3 years old. And then we're 3 years old, but 2 of it was COVID. So I feel like we're only one. I feel like we're one with 2 years of some bumps. But it's interesting, when you share goals with people, it gets them excited about it. And then they start making connections. And so it's not a surprise, with your faith in God, with the passion that you have, and then you're sharing goals, connections are going to happen.
Well, and it's my goal too, also for this company, as you're already doing, is to give for, pay it forward, give back. I want our company to be the company that does that too, and doing things like you're doing.
I would love to talk offline a little bit, and then maybe we regroup and do another podcast. But our primary focus with our foundation, it's military spouses. So we're going to impact military lives through the spouse.
Right.
The spouse is often extremely stressed out, right? Because in some cases, they're uprooting every 3 years. It can be very hard to get into a rhythm when you're saying goodbye to family again and new friends and starting up a new job and making all the sacrifices. I think there's a great synergy between ZeSa and the Think Great Foundation, because we have an open door to the military spouse community. And it would be great to figure out something for military spouses through your devices. So we'll have to set some goals together, because
My wills are up on that. So that I love where you're going with that. I love that idea. Yeah.
Well, and the military spouses are the unsung heroes. There's so many of them out there, and even if the service member is no longer serving, then they're now veteran spouses, and they really are the glue that holds the country together in many respects. And we don't talk about them daily, and they don't speak out and protest and march. So people sometimes forget about them. But the Think Great Foundation is here to be a voice for them and say, hey, you haven't been forgotten. Now we only focus on the educational side. However, making connections like with organizations like yours, there could be other benefits to them, like getting their health goals in check.
Right.
And that's what inspires me the most. I think that, like you, I love giving back. And I know the giving back portion is important to you too.
It is for sure. Yeah.
Just that driving force. I love everything we do at Think Great. I do. I love making an impact with the business, but sometimes it's those things that are aside from the business that you impacted somebody's life over here. I think that really fuels me up the most.
Yes. Agreed.
I know for you, faith is huge. The goal setting is huge too. And there's a trait called perseverance that's very important to you. Why is that one so important to you? That word perseverance, which I think everybody needs to focus on that word a little bit more. But, when asked, what traits are important to you, that was the one you chose. And why is that word so important?
I think just, everything again that I've learned through the course of my life, with what things that I have accomplished or gone through or come out of, without that perseverance, you can just end up stuck in a rut, you're not moving forward. Persevering with this dream again, if I didn't have that perseverance trait, I know there's probably quite a few times it would have been easy for me to give up, but having
You got to push forward.
Yeah, pushing forward, moving things forward. What a lot of people don't realize either is a lot of companies that are successful companies, they weren't successful overnight. I read a really good book several years ago called Shoe Dog, and it's about the Nike story. Uh,
Mm,
and I assumed, like everybody else, develop a shoe, put the little swoosh on it, boom, overnight success. It took
right.
me 20 years to even start to bring that company to success. So,
Talk
it's
about perseverance.
perseverance. Yeah, it's reading stories of perseverance like that by others who helped me to move forward too.
So, I think perseverance, what's great about that is we all need to exemplify it, and there's times where I think you hit the nail on the head. You can feel like you're in a rut. And I think the pandemic caused everybody to experience a rut at some point.
Yes.
Um, I think before that, maybe people went years without ever going into a rut, but I don't think anybody was exempt from it over the last 2.5 years. I think at some point people were in a rut or many ruts at the same time. And one of the things that I've relied on too that helps me persevere is being surrounded by the right people, a team.
Yes.
Um, Now, as a co-founder, you're not alone. You have what you consider to be a team. Can you just talk a little bit about what teamwork means to you? How do you tap into the power of that, especially
Yeah.
when you're launching all these great initiatives and goals?
So, I do have some other team members. I'm basically the only one able to do it, work with the company 100% at this time, which will
Mhm.
change within the next 6 months too. But just having those other team members to be able to reach out to, and just to, you know, to bounce things off of and get the encouragement back from them. And not only the team members, my family as well. My daughter, I'd like to bring up because she's amazing. She's actually a mental health counselor, which comes into play to help me sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah, but just, the encouragement, encouraging phrases once in a while that she'll just throw out at me when she knows that I'm probably a little exhausted or overworked. But it's just being able to have the support of those team members and to know they're there, even though I'm the one doing a lot of the work right now, just
yeah.
to know they're there to help me.
It's exciting to think about people coming on board full time with you.
It is. It's very exciting. Yeah. Yeah. And actually my significant other is actually was the engineer on our devices, did a lot of the engineering work. He didn't do some of the earlier work, but he's doing the engineering work on the devices now. We've been together for over 10 years. So he's very instrumental in helping me with the products and moving the company forward as well.
I think for me, the teamwork component, what I love about it the most is that, you have people there that have your back.
Mhm.
But the thing I love the most about it is when you have an idea and you toss it out to the team and then they mull it around and then they give you something back better than you ever imagined.
Right, right, and good point, good point, yeah. They can really expound on your ideas or, like, have you look at things a different way.
Yeah. I know that, I'll have ideas on maybe here's how we should market this new book, or, we have this program that we need to get the word out there. And Jacob, who's my son, he works with us, and Gina, my wife, works with us, and Sapphire, she's our project coordinator, who will be my daughter-in-law at some point. So fingers crossed. That's what we're all hoping for. Um,
Wonderful.
yes, and it'll be awesome. So we have a very tight team, but I'll share ideas with them, and when things come back that are enhanced, there is nothing like that. And it's almost when they work on a project or an initiative and you send the idea out, then it comes back. For me, opening up their idea is like Christmas. It's like opening up a
Yeah,
gift. And this
right,
is awesome. And somebody's like, oh, that's better than I thought, you know?
right, right,
And
mhm.
that motivates me. That gets me even more excited.
Yeah, no, agreed, agreed, and, similar to you, um, the major components of my team are family members, so that makes it even more special, I think.
Yeah. I think it's just a unique opportunity when you can be surrounded by the people you care so much about, and form that synergy. And yeah, and sometimes I don't know if you've experienced this too. Sometimes you put an idea out there and the team says, hey, that it wasn't such a great idea here. Here's some thinking. So sometimes I think I have a lot of great ideas, and then I find out not all of them were great, and the
Yeah,
team can sometimes the team can help get you focused too.
They can. I'll have an idea and they'll go, oh, no, wait a minute. You got to look at it from this
Yeah.
perspective. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
I
thank
have a
you.
new book coming out at the end of this year. It's called Unleash Your Business Warrior. And, I was in the Marine Corps. So sometimes my brain goes into kind of more of the hardcore thinking. So I had a couple concepts, and as I'm running them by Jacob, he's like, hey, this one's a little too hardcore. you gotta rephrase this. I'm like, but that's that's what I'm thinking. Like that's
Yeah.
what I mean. He goes, I know, but when people read it, and I said, all right, hold on. So I took his advice, right? And I went back to the drawing board and I reworked it and I said, all right, how about this? He goes, all right, that's what I'm talking about. And I'm like, all right. That other one was a little too hardcore. So
And that's a
yeah,
huge too, because family can probably be a little bit more honest with you sometimes than
or too honest.
too honest. There is that too. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I was going to ask you is, there's a lot of people that tune into the Think Great experience that are not only team leaders and executive, leaders of businesses, but also very entrepreneurial. And what would your advice be to somebody that, maybe has an idea or just wants to experience new levels of greatness in their life, personally or professionally? They just want to take things to a new level. Are there any points of advice you could give to them?
I think the things that we've already discussed, such as, find that dream, focus on that dream, move towards that dream. What I've learned too, with God in play is that you find that end goal, which can change over time,
Sure.
but focus on that goal. God will help you get there. You can't always dictate the steps you're going to take to get there, but God will help play out those steps to get you to that point. That and then the peer-to-peer, working with or talking to others who have been in your position can be huge too, because then you'll understand that, yes, there are challenges, there are struggles, but if you persevere, you'll get there.
I think it's just so important having that peer-to-peer discussion, just bouncing ideas off of people is huge. And then to have the supreme being in your corner, how can you go wrong?
Exactly.
Would you like this? Would you like the supreme leader on your team or not? I'm going to take them. I'll take them.
Yep.
Well, I think it's great to be able to share those ideas too. I think it's great to be able to, encourage people to have dreams. I love that. I love encouraging them to have peer-to-peer, and, for those that are ready for that, to have that relationship with God and to have the trust in Him to help guide their business. That I think is huge.
Right.
And I'm excited for you. The first time that we talked, I knew that you had this unwavering passion for helping people. And I believe that even more so now. And 6 months seems like a long time because I'm ready to get my devices and get going, but I'll be patient. I'll persevere. But if somebody's listening right now and they would like to get more information about you or ZeSa or just learn a little bit more about what's coming, what's the best way to reach out? How can they contact you?
Yeah, best way is probably through email. I'm checking my email constantly. So my email is Cindy, CINDY, at ZeSaFitness.com. ZeSa, ZESA fitness, all one word, .com. So they can reach out to me that way. And I welcome anyone reaching out to me.
I'm so excited about the future for you and for all the people you're going to impact. And I'm excited to see everything that happens in the military and the veteran community for you. And thank you for having that passion and that focus on that community of people. They're near and dear to my heart. And I always love meeting patriots like you that put them as a priority. So thank you for that. And thank you for being on our show today. You made a huge impact in me, and I know everyone listening today, you're going to make a huge impact in their lives too. So thank you for being a guest today.
Thank you, Erik. Just such a pleasure and honor to be here.
Awesome. Until the next time.
Yes, for sure. Bye.